The Caribbean is back on the global radar. A region that usually stays quiet is suddenly becoming a focal point for analysts around the world. It all began when Venezuela released a series of military recordings. Training exercises, convoys of armored vehicles, armed civilian militias, special units demonstrating their capabilities. All of it released almost at the same time. Recordings like this are never accidental. Venezuela wants to send a message, a military message, a political message, and a symbolic signal aimed at a specific audience. That audience is the United States. Why is Venezuela doing this? Why now? And what role does Russia play in boosting Venezuela's confidence? Let's break it down clearly. In recent months, the United States has increased its military activity around the Caribbean, warships patrolling more frequently, surveillance aircraft moving closer, maritime operations becoming more active. Washington calls this regional stability, but Caracas sees it very differently. For Venezuela, this feels like direct pressure. The U.S.-Venezuela relationship has been strained for years. Economic sanctions, political disagreements, human rights accusations, and a long list of diplomatic disputes. So when the U.S. strengthened its presence in the Caribbean, Venezuela felt the need to respond, not with confrontation, but by showing it has the ability to defend itself. They want to make it clear, Venezuela cannot be pushed around easily. It will not simply absorb pressure without reaction, and it will not allow its territory to become an easy stage for external influence. That's why Venezuela chose to release military footage so openly, a visual statement much stronger than any speech, a signal that they are prepared if the situation escalates. The military footage Venezuela released is unusually transparent. No heavy edits, no attempts to hide equipment. Everything shown up close. Tanks, artillery, helicopters, special forces, and an entire structure of armed civilian militias. The purpose is simple. Venezuela wants the world to see. They want to show they still have functioning defensive capabilities, and they want to remind everyone that, even with economic difficulties, their military force remains intact. It also sends a message to nearby countries. Venezuela wants its neighbors to understand that the state is not collapsing, that it still has the ability to defend its borders, and that it should not be viewed as a soft target. These recordings are not only meant for external audiences, they're also aimed at Venezuelans themselves. The country is facing economic pressure and social challenges, inflation, shortages, large-scale migration, and long-standing political divisions. In such situations, the government needs to show stability. It needs to show the population that the state is still strong, that security forces remain organized, and that the government is still in control. Displaying military structure helps create that perception. Showing armed civilian militias suggests that part of the population still supports the government. All of this contributes to a narrative of national unity, something the government needs when internal tensions are high. Venezuela's confidence is not spontaneous. The biggest factor behind it is Russia. For more than a decade, Russia has supplied Venezuela with major defense systems: S-300VM, Buk-M-2E, Pantsir S-1, T-72B-1V tanks, Mi-35M helicopters, Nebo long-range radar, Su-30MK-2 fighter jets, and key military communication systems. Beyond equipment, Russia also provides technicians and instructors. There is operational cooperation, intelligence support, joint training, and solid diplomatic protection at international forums. All of this gives Venezuela a sense of security. Security from political pressure, security from isolation, and security from potential intervention. Russia acts as the strategic shield that allows Caracas to take a firmer stance toward Washington. Many people ask why Russia invests so heavily in Venezuela. The answer is geography. Venezuela is close to the United States, close to key Caribbean sea lanes, and close to major U.S. military installations. For Russia, having a strong partner here provides geopolitical leverage. When Russia faces pressure from NATO in Eastern Europe, a foothold in the Caribbean offers strategic balance. It signals that Russia's influence is not limited to Europe or the Middle East. It can also appear in America's near abroad. This is why Russia's support for Venezuela is not temporary. It's part of a long-term strategy. Venezuela needs Russia to resist external pressure. Russia needs Venezuela to project influence in the Western Hemisphere. The relationship is mutual. Each side provides something the other cannot get elsewhere. Venezuela gains protection and military modernization. Russia gains strategic positioning and a political ally near U.S. territory. With this partnership, Caracas has more room to maneuver, more room to resist pressure, and more room to assert itself regionally. Venezuela's actions have drawn reactions from many countries. Some are concerned, some are cautious, but most agree that the Caribbean is changing. These recordings are not a direct threat, but they mark the beginning of a new geopolitical phase, not just Venezuela versus the United States, but Russia and the United States, using the Caribbean as an emerging side theater. It doesn't mean war is coming, but the potential for miscalculation is real, and that alone makes the situation worth watching closely. The Caribbean is no longer a quiet region. Venezuela is showcasing its military capabilities. The United States is maintaining its influence, and Russia is expanding its presence in the Western Hemisphere. All of these movements are happening simultaneously. All of them shape the current geopolitical landscape. This situation may not lead to open conflict, but it clearly shows that the global balance is shifting, and the Caribbean is now part of that shift. Great power rivalry doesn't always appear in the same places. Sometimes it emerges in regions people rarely discuss, and today the Caribbean is one of them. If you want to follow how this situation develops, whether in Venezuela, Russia, or U.S. foreign policy, feel free to stay with this channel. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the Caribbean could become a new strategic front? Or will diplomacy prevent further escalation? And before we close, a necessary disclaimer. This video is created for educational and analytical purposes only. It does not promote conflict, violence, or military action. All analysis is based on publicly available information, and the content does not endorse any side in any geopolitical dispute. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next video.